Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? So shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It is good to see each and every one of you. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me or things are looking kind of bad, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody that's in the building early, all right? Shout out to No Longer Asleep. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love. Shout out to Jesse Paris. Shout out to Shatera. And shout out to Sybil, all right? It is good to see each and every one of y'all, all right? So we're going to get into it, all right? We are going to talk about Chicago because Chicago is becoming a war zone, and it's sounding kind of crazy. It's sounding kind of crazy. So we're going to get to that eventually. We might, if we got time, touch on some more issues that are going on in Springfield, Ohio, right? But before we get into that, we're going to get into this. We're going to get into a situation that is going on in a city called Fairport. Fairport. Sounds like airport, possibly because people have been getting flown out or flown in, whichever, you know what I'm saying, way makes the most sense to say, right? Now, here goes my question. How many people are familiar with this city called, quote unquote, Fairport? Where is it? And what are they dealing with right now? We're going to look at a couple videos that talk about it.
We've got breaking news tonight. Reports of up to 1,000 Haitian immigrants coming to Baldwin County in the next few weeks, specifically Fairhope. And that prompted quite the turnout at tonight's city council meeting.
My bad. I said Fairport. I meant Fairhope. Anybody familiar with the city of Fairhope? If you're familiar with Baldwin County or the city of Fairhope, give us the deets.
Our Lee Pack is in Fairhope. Lee, you were at that meeting and you say it got hot.
Yeah, hey, Lenise, it did get heated at times. I can tell you, like you just said, the turnout was overwhelming tonight. But right off the bat, Mayor Sherry Sullivan and other council members tried to shut this down, calling it a rumor, saying there's no truth to it. Take a listen.
To be clear, we have not seen or received any notification that that is happening, nor is it expected to happen in Fairhope.
So just imagine my surprise when I start getting text messages and emails that we were inviting immigrants to live in our city. And folks, let me just tell you, that's just patently false. It's just false. We've never even had a conversation up here. Never, not even in a work session. Not even in a council meeting.
Not going to be a sanctuary city. We don't have any desire.
Now, here goes the thing, right? As far as not being a sanctuary city, and this is the thing that I was asking about, right? This is the thing that I was asking about. What it seems like, right, is it seems like now in today's climate, how things are going, it doesn't matter if you're a sanctuary city or not. It doesn't matter if you're a sanctuary city or not. If you have a sanctuary city near you, or if you are in a sanctuary state, or if a large deposit of migrants just happens to show up at the doorstep, it's still going to cause issues. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Honored to be that. And the last number I heard was up to 30,000 refugees. So, you know, it went from 1,000 to 5,000 to 15 to 30. So.
And I can tell you, I've covered a lot of hot button issues here on the Eastern Shore. Not only was the council chambers standing room only, but the overflow filled up the lobby over here. And I can tell you, it's an extensive lobby. A lot of people coming in to express their.
Now, look, I want you guys to look at the demographics there. Look at the demographics there. Those people really do not want Haitian migrants there. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How often have you seen people complain about Asian migrants? How often have you seen people really, the only like Latino migrants that they're really complaining about now is, you know, the Venezuelans as a result of TREN de Aragua, right? These people are very particular about the immigrants that they choose to embrace versus the ones that they choose to reject. Why do you guys think that is? Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug. Yeah, that's what it looks like, right? If you guys agree with Win, Lose, or Rug, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you all think that has anything to do with the outrage? If you guys think that it does, give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that it doesn't, give me a thumbs down.
Opinions. Some of them taking offense to what some of the council members said, trying to dismiss some of the reports on social media saying it got out of control and that people need to use common sense when looking at social media. They didn't like what they heard there. But some of this does stem from a signature, a letter that was signed by Council President Corey Martin in 2022 at the height of the Ukrainian war, saying he supported helping women and children refugees. He said he wasn't speaking for the council and that none of this has anything to do with the other. He doesn't know how it got to this.
Now, listen to this, right? As far as I don't think that these people would be as outraged if these were Ukrainians. I don't think that there would be any outrage if these were Ukrainians. As a matter of fact, I think that the community would be bending over backwards to try to see what type of resources and support services that they could provide those people if these were quote unquote Ukrainians. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
This point, but a lot of people speaking their mind tonight, some of them even comparing this to what's happening in Springfield, Ohio with the Haitian immigration population there. But a lot of people who spoke really just saying that they don't believe Baldwin County nor Fairhope could accommodate just a mass relocation of immigrants.
And I want to say that I support legal immigration, and I think most people in Fairhope probably do. You know, we do, but not illegal immigration.
I wanted to come to address the fact that our schools really cannot take on any more students, especially students that don't speak English. Our teachers, our schools are maxed out. Our teachers are at capacity. I was at my son's.
Now, let's talk about this whole quote unquote people that don't speak English issue, right? Let's talk about that. Now, let's talk about the facts of people that quote unquote speak English versus people that don't speak English, right? When it comes to people immigrating from other countries to the United States, is it true or is it false that the majority of other countries in the world teach English alongside their native languages? If they do, give me a thumbs up. If they don't, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Jay and shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says, now you just being xenophobic. I'm gonna unsubscribe. You know what I'm saying? They said that at this city council meeting, there was unsubstantiated lies. That's what Cobra Commander said.
Unsubstantiated fantasy! Lies! Lies!
Lies! Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug. Win, Lose, or Rug said that the size tags on old girl who's talking right now say 5B. That's 5B. That's the stuff that they sell at Lane Bryant. You know what I'm saying?
Baseball game when I listened to what you were saying. And I want to remind everyone why we're here. We're here because of a letter
Shout out
that
to
you
Tammy
signed.
Dorsey.
We're not
What's
here
good with it,
because
Tammy?
we're incompassionate or we don't have feelings or we don't care about people. And you know what? All I could think of when you were talking, you were gaslighting every single one of us.
Looks like y'all stepped in it, didn't you? Tell us what you're going to do if this does come to pass. Okay, y'all are sitting up here all smug and everything. Tell us what we need to know.
When I heard what
Now, was it? I don't. Now, all right. Shout out to Blanche, right, from the Golden Girls over there. I don't think that they tell anybody anything that they need to know. I don't think anybody ever find. I think that people get this stuff dumped on them, and they find out about it last minute. If you ask me, in most of these accounts where we've been traveling from place to place, Colorado, New York, Chicago, all of these different places, all of the vital information has been thrown into people's laps at the time of the arrivals. There's not really been much prep, except for when people talk about these huge migrant caravans that are coming, and the media just turfs it off as mis and disinformation. And then once those migrant caravans get here and those people get distributed throughout the United States through the Greg Abbott migrant logistics program that nobody calls it as, they call it patriotism. And the reason why they call it patriotism is because Greg Abbott is, you know what I'm saying, doing this to lock out, block out, destroy areas that have a high concentration of people who are not like Greg Abbott, right? That's the only reason why those things are being done, right? Then when those people like Brandon Johnson or Eric Adams or Mike Johnston in Denver get these people, all of a sudden it's an emergency and a surprise. Yeah, shout out to DC Precise when they show up at the church. Facts. These things have been happening in Springfield a long time. On this very channel, we looked at an article from the Springfield local news where they were talking about a large influx of Mauritanian migrants who came in, right? Now, the community that was accepting these Mauritanian migrants, it was a non-government organization, right? And, you know, it was one of these organizations that, you know, they were accepting of the migrants. Even they didn't know about all the migrants that was coming in. They got overwhelmed, and they were some of the people that were, you know, they were all about accepting them. So even if you're all about accepting migrants, you don't even get a warning from the people that are supposed to be communicating this stuff with you. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man Carlton. Shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed that like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. All right. Now, if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. These here are more communities in Alabama. All right. This is where this is going down. More communities in Alabama.
Our mayor said, and then I heard what each of you said. I felt like, okay, you're all saying, don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. We're not going to approve this. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter whether you approve it. It's going to happen.
Now, my question to you specifically is Federal Police Department.
Shout out to this. Shout out to this old lady. This old lady seemed like she got a handle on reality. She seemed like she got a handle on reality. Shout out to David Brown. What's good with it, bro? If y'all would agree, you know what I'm saying? Grandma got it. Grandma got a hold on reality. Give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
All saying, don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. We're not going to approve this. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter whether you approve it. It's going to happen.
Now, my question to you specifically is Federal Police Department ready to handle this? What's the answer on that?
I want to put you all on notice. You don't start doing your job. You will all be out next week.
Haitian immigrants, both those here documented and undocumented, commit crimes at lower rates than native-born Americans do. According to the
Hey, Carlton, hit the button for this dude. He off code. You hear him booing him? Hey, shout out to Carlton. Where you at, Carlton? Hit the button for him. He off code. He wasn't supposed to say that there.
Haitian immigrants, both those here documented and undocumented, commit crimes at lower rates than native-born Americans do. According to the Keto Institute. I hate having to cite him.
He's They said boo. They said boo this man. You know what I'm saying? They said, let me check your pattern balding real quick. You're not really white. Talking like that. He's not a foundational white American. You know what I'm saying? Let's check that pattern balding and make sure that you know what I'm saying, we got to check it and see if it's going all the way around his head and everything is missing up top. You know what I'm saying? So oh man, that's that non-foundational white American babble. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DC Precise. Make sure y'all show DC Precise some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat. Also, throw those undocumented emojis in the chat for DC Precise, growing the organization and standing on business.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Right. Shout out to Shatera. That's exactly what they were saying. Shut your ass up. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what they were saying.
Yeah, well, we listen to our constituents. We hear them. We don't want any fear factors. We want to let our constituents know that there are no illegal anybody.
Now, man, he shouldn't even said nothing. I don't even know why he got on camera. Because the first thing that, man, let me shut up. They're going to say he Haitian. I don't know if he is or he isn't, but that's what they're going to say. You know what I'm saying?
Coming in, the program that I signed was about 3 years ago. It was a federal program.
Oh, man.
There was never.
And he's the one that, when these people going to learn, man? When are these people? He's the one. So you remember how they talked about that letter? And now everybody is up in arms about the letter, saying that they would support the Ukrainians. He's the guy that said that he would support the Ukrainians. He's the one that they're blaming the rumor for about the Haitian people coming in. Again, let me ask you guys this question. When you start digging deep and you start looking into a lot of these situations, how many times, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many times are these things kind of preventable? How many times are these things kind of preventable? But if you say that, though, you know what I'm saying? The monolith forms around you like a whole bunch of sentinels on the X-Men. Y'all remember on the first episode of the X-Men classic cartoon on Fox when they got at Jubilee and all those sentinels formed around Jubilee? You know what I'm saying? And Rogue and Storm and Gambit had to save her. Except for ain't no Rogue and Storm and Gambit coming to save us. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Shatera. Shatera saying sanctuary the like button. It just wants a home. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all hit that like button undocumented amount of times. You know what I'm saying?
We hear them. We don't want any fear factors. We want to let our constituents know that there are no illegal anybody coming in. The program that I signed was about 3 years ago. It was a federal program. There was never ethnicity involved. It was about displaced refugees.
Well, I mean, it would be about ethnicity because those displaced refugees would have to be ethnic to somewhere. What do y'all think, man? What do y'all think? Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes things happen, right? And then other times people jump in front of a train. And then when they jump in front of that train, the situation gets depicted as if the train, you know, ran them down in a hit and run. Which situation is this? And, you know, let's, like, you know, you the only brother there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. What y'all think? I want to know what y'all think about this. I don't know why he would have went out the window and, you know, I'm going to sign this bill to, you know, for these Ukrainian people. And I mean, we got to ask this question. Did he set himself up for this vulnerability? If he did, give me a thumbs up. If he did not, give me a thumbs down. Let me know what y'all think.
No illegal anybody coming in. The program that I signed was about 3 years ago. It was a federal program. There was never ethnicity.
Now, he said that the program that he signed was about 3 years ago. They signed the Constitution when? Wasn't it 1776? That's still being used, right? So what does it matter about how long ago you signed something? Shout out to Tammy. Tammy said the Dems put these off-code COONs in a trick bag. Just ask old Eric Adams. I think that this dude put himself in a trick bag. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what political party this is, right? But you know, if I was in this situation, I wouldn't have moved like this. I wouldn't have done that. And if they were behind, if they were gonna do some type of initiative like this, wouldn't have called my signature on the paper. I might have passed out some Xerox copies at a meeting, wouldn't have called my signature on it. Now, shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise, DC Precise says they gonna get his butt. Yeah. Now here go the question: should they? shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen says for now they working on his impeachment. Written there. He don't even know it neither. Again, the situational awareness, the lack thereof, is just astounding to me.
Involved. It was about displaced refugees, and that's our, you know, when you're given much, you're expected to do much. So the protection of women and children is something that I stand.
Not really. See, that's what you were taught growing up. That's what you think. That's what you've been inundated with. You're in a room of people who don't even acknowledge the fact that your ancestors were slaughtered for them to have what they have. And you think that that's the mentality there? Read the room, bro. Read the room. Read the room. Now, if you're going to work there and get a paycheck at a place like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not condemning somebody from getting a paycheck or getting, you know what I'm saying, doing their job. But at the same time, situational awareness. Let somebody else do that. You sit down. You ain't got to be an overachiever all the time. Do you know what I'm saying? No, those people there, they didn't grow up with that type of mentality. Those people grew up and continue to grow up. Your life, your ancestors' life, none of them matter. You just meet on a grill, and when you're done, and it's time to eat. Read the room. Now, again, right? Let me ask you guys this question. Let's talk about nature. I don't believe that nature should ever be used to rationalize or justify anything in a real world or anything in a society. I think that's one of the weirdest things that people do in their entire life. People talk about being human, and then they rationalize animal actions as how something should or shouldn't be. The whole difference between how we live versus how animals live is allegedly an organized society. So for you to then try to take a situation that happens in nature and apply it to organized society is a complete double negative, and it doesn't even make sense to compare. But people do it all the time. They do it all the time. Well, this is what happens in nature. We live in a organized society. Who cares what happens in nature? If you want to live in nature, go live in nature. Go get a homestead, right? Go be homeless, as a matter of fact. That's as close to being in nature as, for the most part, as a human in an industrialized country will get being homeless. So choose to be homeless, right? Doesn't that make sense? Why does it make sense? How does it make sense to rationalize animal action in a human societal construct? Does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense. Right? So why do we do it? I don't understand. So using that logic, right? Even if we're going to use that logic, if you're in a pool of piranhas, probably don't want to bring attention to yourself, especially if you're not a piranha. Using animal logic. Let's use animal logic since everybody likes to use incorrect logic. Let's use incorrect logic to correct people's logic. If you're a gazelle, right, and you're in the field, you probably don't want to bring attention to a lot of the lions and hyenas and, you know, cheetahs and jaguars and predators that are out there that could just, you know, tear you apart if they get hold of you, right? Not this guy. Not a lot of these guys. These guys are all making these conscious decisions on their own. Who's making them make this decision? I don't know if we can. I don't know who made this guy make this decision. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tammy. Tammy said he should ask them, do they want to take Venezuelans over the Haitians? I would like to see their reaction to that question. I think that it would be consistent. I honestly think that those people, would say, we don't accept any of those people. That's what I think that's what I think that they would say. I think that a lot. I think that those old women there, they would say, well, who the hell do you think you are giving us a choice when we put you in office? I think that that's what they would say to him. Now, here goes my question. Would they be wrong? Would they be wrong? If he came at me and asked me that question, I would be like, I don't understand why you're giving me a choice. The only choice that I made was for you to represent my interest, and my interest is that we're not a sanctuary city. So why are you giving me a choice of what illegal migrants you want me to take in when I voted that I don't want to take in any because I voted against being a sanctuary city? That's what I would ask him. I'm not trying to be funny, but I think that if he had to ask them, well, who would you rather have, Venezuelans or Haitians? I think he might, you know what I'm saying, be the next story of a disappearance. Looking at the demographics there of that town hall meeting. I mean, why you in that town hall meeting? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you there? Would y'all agree? The one guy said that they're not a sanctuary city. That right there, in my opinion, that right there negates anything that they could possibly say as far as justifying, quote unquote, bringing people in versus not bringing people in. We're not a sanctuary city. You know what I'm saying? At the point when we're not a sanctuary city, I don't understand why I'm being asked the choice of who I want in. I want the people who live here to be in. That would be my response to that. The choice was to be a sanctuary city or not to be a sanctuary city, and we've chosen to not be a sanctuary city. Why are you now asking me about who we rather have come in versus who not? That's what, if I was at that meeting and I was in that town, that would have been my response had that individual asked me that. You're asking me, would I rather have of two choices that neither of which I supported and neither of which I put you in office to support? We've got a serious breakdown of politics here. Now, let me ask you, would those be appropriate things to say? Because that's exactly what I would have said. I would have said that. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'm saying. If you ask me, people need to start aiming for the bullseye. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Displaced refugees and And that's our, when you're given much, you're expected to do much. So to protection of women.
Again, when you're given much, who is given much? I don't know if those people would really feel, comfortable with him determining you guys have a lot, we're gonna share it. I don't know how they would feel about that. I'll tell you what, we're gonna put it like this, right? If I won the lottery and somebody tried to dictate to me, well, you won a lot, you need to share a lot. That's not gonna. I'll be the first to say that's not gonna go over well at all. That's not gonna go over well at all. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tammy. Tammy says, Rob, the immigrants that are being flown into the country, part of that so-called probation program, considered legal. I believe they are considered legal under the new temporary protected status program that the Biden-Harris administration amended in order to provide legal residence for the people who are here. And it extends to the people that they bring in on those flights, which I believe one of the places that they bring people in on the flights from is indeed Haiti. So as far as that, quote unquote, the immigrants, right? I believe the ones who are being flown in after the TPS adjustment was made, those people can be considered as entering the country legally as a result of the legal changes. However, the TPS status not only extends to those people that are being flown in, the TPS status also extends to people who are already here. So you have the people who are being flown in who get granted that status, and then there's people who are already here who might have entered the country illegally, but just with the signing of a document, now it doesn't matter that they entered legally or illegally. They're now allowed to be here legally. And shout out to DC Precise. Now, DC Precise says that's how the other black lady at the meeting in Alabama was carrying on too. And then she said, this meeting is over. What do you think people think about? I mean, how do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about that lady at that other meeting in Alabama? I don't think that she should have ended the meeting. I don't think she should have tried to shut down the people that live there either. Just like this guy, she was also outnumbered. So now here's my question. Where's the standard of consistency? Again, you all know I don't believe that there is one, right? But I think that we're seeing it in real time. You know what I'm saying?
Women and children is something that I stand on, and I don't see a problem with that as long as it's in a legal fashion.
Again, that was Council President Corey Martin responding to what was.
Now, shout out to Cameron. Cameron says that thing you mentioned, my whole family says that is what Trump will do to us, even though the Democrats are actually doing it. What's that? What? Quote unquote, put us on a plane or something like that? I saw that there was somebody that said that. Let's just ask this question. Why are people asking the question, will Trump deport Black Americans? Why is that? Why is that even a thought? And why are people asking that question? Where's that coming from? I'm gonna say a couple things about that. If there are individuals that travel the world and they're repeating that misinformation, that's really bad, because those people travel the world and they know the truth behind travel, and they know the truth behind visas and passports and, you know, coming to and from different countries, right? So those people, if you've traveled and been to a different country and you're saying that, really? Really? Now, if you're not somebody that's ever traveled, right? That could possibly be a reason why you might say something that makes such little sense, because of your lack of experience traveling and knowing the laws internationally about what's permitted, and, you know, crossing different borders, crossing different land areas, and crossing different ports. What country has an agreement with the United States to accept a massive amount of Black Americans in from the United States? What country has an amount? They can't even fly the people that came into the country illegally back to the countries that they're from. They can't even get the Venezuelans back to Venezuela. First of all, let's just look at that. There is no end destination for us, first and foremost. For one, because we don't have one. For two, because nobody wants us. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. What's good? Right? Don't nobody want us. And second of all, we don't have no end destination anyway. Maybe they might want some of us for their Olympic teams. Aside from that, they don't want us. But again, we don't even have no agreement set up with any of those places, any of these places. Now, shout out to DC Precise. I don't know the specifics of that case, but almost means that it didn't happen, right? And we don't know the specifics. Well, maybe, you know what I'm saying? I didn't watch that stream, so I don't know the specifics. I would actually have to look at the case. And then I'm sure that I'd have a different interpretation than, you know what I'm saying, everybody. But there could possibly be a reason behind it. A lot of times when people fearmonger, when people like to emotionally stroke. Yeah, and see, shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy says, I've actually been through the visa process in another country. It's not easy. It's not easy. So imagine, and what would the agreement be for? And how are they going to seize your assets? All of these things, right? Like how is all of this going to happen? And what Black Americans got deported the first time? When has any Black American got deported anywhere? Where are you going? They deport Black people to the nether realm. The only time you're going to get deported to, either, if you believe in heaven, hell, or nirvana, through an electric chair for the most part, or from a firing squad. You're not coming back from one of those places, and those don't require a passport. Law enforcement, not, you know what I'm saying, not ICE, you know, your local police department issues those type of deportations all the time, right? But what's the logic behind that? So my question is, like, why are people going around saying that? And, like, why are people even entertaining that question? Now, you know, people always talk about people, quote unquote, attaching themselves to our struggles. We talk about that, right? You guys, how many people, you guys hear a lot of people, they talk about that. People attach themselves to our struggles. We got to start talking about how a lot of people tend to attach themselves to other people's struggles too. We ain't getting deported anywhere. It's not practical. Even if there was some type of agenda to deport us, it would take a long time to get that put into place. A long time. But as of right now, there's not. This is a struggle that don't have anything to do with us. We got enough stuff on our plate. Why are people attaching to that? they're going to get us up out of here too. You're more likely to get gotten up out of here by a bullet than you are by ICE. And a bullet coming from law enforcement. Or a bullet coming from your next door neighbor if you happen to live in the suburbs. So you might get deported to the astral plane, but you're not getting deported to no country. Yeah, that's a great point. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said it's practically CRT to even look into deporting us. Right. Now, you know, most of these people, slavery didn't happen. Slavery doesn't exist. It's not true. It's not real, according to these people here. Well, if slavery didn't happen and if slavery is not true, then what that means is that we're just going to truncate. We're going to omit an entire part of history, right? And that means that, well, then we were just here. Which we were just here anyway. But that means that all of us were just here. Because otherwise, there's no such thing as slavery. As they say, if any talk of slavery is evil white racism, okay, they're not giving us reparations. Let's give them that. Okay, well, then we were just here then. Because otherwise, how did we get here? Because we didn't immigrate. We didn't immigrate from Great Britain, did we? Despite the fact that we have British, English, and Anglo-Saxon last names. So explain that. Let's get the explanation. You know what I'm saying? In a practical way. We don't even have to go into the plebiscite babble and, you know what I'm saying, all the Comet nonsense and all that. We don't have to go into all of that. We can just go into it in a practical format, just talking about normal things that are documented. How do we deal with that? How do we do that? Well, you know, these people, they'll make all conversations illegal, right? That's how they'll deal with it, right? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, I told my brother our house is on fire and everyone keeps saying their house is on fire too. So should we pour our water on theirs? But when their fire is out, tell us to get our own water. What'd they say to that? You crazy. You crazy. Shout out to Tammy. Tammy said these people who are doing the fear mongering have family that could be deported, I believe. That's why they want us to feed into their fears. It could be possible. Now, the thing is that if their family are citizens, then their family won't get, their family's not going to get deported. Like the chances of a denaturalization and a decitizenship are very low. So even people of a foreign descent who are naturalized citizens, I don't understand why they would be fear mongering because how often does that happen? Yeah, that's what I said. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said some countries would actually want some of us to migrate there, especially those in sports. They wish. China actually gave Stephon Marbury citizenship. U.S. would lose so much. Yeah, they would only want us for sports. You know what I'm saying? The most of the world, you know what I'm saying? You know how they are. And I don't believe that they should be entitled to any benefit that we would give them. It's already bad enough that the United States benefits from all of our talents and all of our intellectual properties, you know what I'm saying, and all of our attributes that we bring. That's bad enough. They don't need to be benefiting. We need to be benefiting. But it definitely, you know what I'm saying, none of these other people at all. For real. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is that, you know what I'm saying, the disparities are so wild that, you know, people would do it, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it is what it is. I get it. It's not like I can't rationalize with it, but it's, you know, it's just benchmarks that people should set for the future. You know what I'm saying?
Was said tonight just after the meeting. It's also important to note that his wife got up there during the public participation part and defended him, saying a lot of this was taken out of context and really challenging the people in the audience who were speaking out, saying if they think they can do a better job, well, then sign up. We also
that's not a response. They voted for you. If you think that you can do a better job, sign up. I don't think that anybody in the audience doing a better job was an argument. I think the argument was you're not doing your job. Not doing your job and the audience being able to do a better job are two different scenarios. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
spoke to Congressman Jerry Carl earlier today. He's in Washington. He weighed in on this, said for the better part of this weekend, he's been working with county officials and city officials here in Fairhope to track down the source of this. He says at this point, there's no truth. It's unfounded, but he will continue to try to get to the bottom of this and perhaps may know more tomorrow. But Lanice, I can tell you tonight, the residents of Fairhope made their voices heard. We're live tonight on the Eastern Shore. Lee Peck, Fox 10 News.
Now, those people in Fairhope better be careful, because in most of these migrant crisis cities, anytime you make your voice heard a little bit too loud, the Democrat government that supports this stuff, they'll do what's possible to make your voice non-existent. You know what I'm saying? They'll do what they can to make your voice non-existent.
What started as a news article turned into rumors. Those rumors were shared on social media where people stated that 1,000 migrants were coming to Fairhope.
We have received no notification of any kind of legal or illegal immigrants coming to Fairhope, and that's the statement that we have.
Fairhope Mayor Sherry Sullivan also discussed the letter signed by Councilman Corey Martin, along with nearly 500 bipartisan officials from across the country who support the United.
So it's this guy right here, Councilman Corey Martin with the yellow glasses. Now look at this city and look at the rest of the city council. Why would Corey Martin sign that? Who made Corey Martin sign that? I'll tell you who made Corey Martin sign that. The way that Corey Martin was raised in his household by his two parents are what made Corey Martin, in his mind, think somehow that this was a good idea that would be universally good to be pushed to people that you're not really familiar with. Think about that. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says, and probably his wife, listen, a lot of the majority of males aggressively are the way that they are as a result of female acceptance or pressure from females. Most men are simps. You know what I'm saying? Most men are simps. It's just and men and women got a lot of lessons to learn about simps, man. They got a lot of lessons to. If people actually understood simps, a lot of people, like the worldviews, like a lot of people's worldviews would change. But I tell you what, though, you can tell somebody is a simp if they fit a certain pattern of behaviors. And if they fit those criteria, you run in quality control. You know what I'm saying? You can run quality control on guessing what a lot of these simps are going to do. And listen, it's going to sound, I mean, it might be sexist, right? It could be possibly sexist. Why are you letting your wife dictate your career? Do you think that anyone, like, shout out to the dudes, right? Like, let me just, I got to put this in perspective. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and to the dudes, your woman, whoever she is, might be the prize in your life. Breaking news, live on YouTube. No one else cares if she's alive or not. No one else cares. We don't care. We don't care what your wife thinks. We don't care what your wife wants you to do. We don't care what your girlfriend thinks. We don't care what your girlfriend wants you to do. We don't care that you are a remote controllable avatar for a woman at your house cutting up cucumbers. We don't care. If you are going to be nothing more than a remote control avatar for your woman, what is the point of you? What is the point of you? If you're willing to do that for a woman or for any person, you're willing to do that across the board. You're willing to do that across the board. That's how I look at people. You're willing to completely forego your entire identity because of somebody that you're dealing with. And what's interesting about this, right, is that that's the most people, right, think, they believe that most men will drop their identity because of the woman that they're with. Why do most people believe that? Because those people have either done it, those people see people do it, or those people have observed it occur so much that they believe that that's the normal mentality. The way that people talk about people is indicative that they know that simp culture is pervasive. Simp culture is pervasive. It's pervasive. So I don't understand why people are surprised about like the direction of the world and like the anti-male rhetoric and like all of this. Again, there would be no feminism without male enforcement. There's a whole sector of men who are responsible for the culture shift. And for dudes to trip and lash out and be upset and yelling and screaming about feminists and feminism. Hey, listen, man, when you don't get the rights to your child as a result of child support enforcement court or visitation, in most cases, it's a male judge granting your baby mom or your ex-wife those rights. A male judge who is a father just like you doing that, upholding being a simp so that that clown can go home to his house and actually sleep on the other side of his bed because he's weak. This is the reason why you got all these dudes around YouTube running around talking about accountability. The fake quest for accountability on YouTube is really for real deflection and blame shift. How can you blame people who never had a grip on society for having a grip on society? Somebody passed the baton somewhere along the lines, wouldn't you say? I mean, if you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Somebody passed the baton along the way, but we're not going to talk about that baton passing. We're just going to talk about what's going on right now. That's the same way we're not going to talk about what led up to the racial wealth gap. We're just going to talk about LeBron James is a millionaire, so why are black people complaining about, you know what I'm saying, money? People live outside of reality all over the place. Living outside of reality is part of the American culture. If you disagree, why is it that chasing an American dream, which everybody knows that dreams are neurological, bioelectric simulations of situations that are not rooted in fact? American culture tells you to chase that. Chase a dream. Chase the American dream. The entire American culture is not rooted in reality. It's rooted in a dream. And as you can see, it plays out all throughout. You know what I'm saying?
Fairhope Mayor Sherry Sullivan also discussed a letter signed by Councilman Corey Martin, along with nearly 500 bipartisan officials from across the country who support the United States Refugee Admissions Program. She says Martin signed the letter in support of the women and children impacted by the Russia-Ukraine war, and he never intended to bring illegal immigrants to Fairhope.
As a city, we do not support, nor do we have the resources to provide for large-scale resettlements of new arrivals to our country, specifically in Fairhope.
So now here goes my question, right? Now, how come these people weren't outraged when he first signed this? Any thoughts? Because this has been signed for a while, right? So why then was it not contested when it first happened? Shout out to KO Kid Fit. What's good with it, bro? Why was it not contested when it first happened? Let me know what y'all think. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed that like button yet, please do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media.
Sullivan says she wants to make it clear that council members have no power individually. To have power, the council must be in session and pass a resolution or ordinance by majority vote. She says the council did not pass anything in support of the letter signed by Martin.
I and other Fairhope officials have been in close contact with our federal delegation and state officials on this issue. We are appreciative of their open lines of communication, ongoing assistance, and responsiveness to local needs and insights.
Sullivan went on to say that all elected officials from the federal to the state level are working together and do not take the situation lightly.
The laws surrounding immigration are complex and change frequently, and too often the task of enforcement and providing resources fall on the local communities that are least equipped to deal with the challenges. In Fairhope, we will enforce these laws, but we have little to say in how they are written. We will also enforce all local laws to make sure our community and citizens are safe.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. What do you think about what that woman said? What do you guys think about what she said? It would have been nice to hear people say stuff like that, you know, in New York, say stuff like that in Chicago, right? We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about that stuff more tomorrow. At first, I was just going to do a live stream catching up on the Eric Adams stuff. We are going to have to talk more about this stuff right here. The mainstream media is now acknowledging that Tren de Aragua is a gang that was started in Venezuelan prisons and now spreads fear across the United States. Now, I got a question for you guys. If Tren de Aragua was started in a prison state, in a prison, and we have Tren de Aragua popping up all over the United States, when Trump says they're sending their prisoners to the United States, right? How is it that a prison gang is popping up all over the United States if they're not sending prisoners all over the United States? These people are just law-abiding citizens that just decide to, once they get to the United States, join a prison gang? This is what I'm talking about. When it comes to the migrant crisis, Trump actually had ground that he could have stood on in that debate instead of, you know what I'm saying, singing choruses to hit songs.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat.
They gotta have they gotta have a remix with JD Vance on there, you know what I'm saying? Oh man. They gotta have a remix with JD Vance on there, you know what I'm saying? They gotta have a remix with JD Vance. They gotta chop and screw JD Vance. Make up stories. Make up stories. I'll make up a story. Make up a story. Make up a story. Lit. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, that'd be hilarious, man. Hey, if y'all want the remix with JD on there, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down. We got to get JD up on the remix, man. We got to get JD Vance on the remix. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but as far as that goes, though, you know, I tend to agree that a lot of these people are prisoners. Otherwise, how would there have been enough? How would there have been enough people to form a prison gang nationwide? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Windows Rob. Yeah, JD Vance would be lit on the remix. I'll make up a story. Make up a story. Make up a story. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the. They'll spin it right in, like, you know what I'm saying? It'd be lit. Oh man, that'd be hilarious, man. So now here it says Tren de Aragua gang started in Venezuela's prisons and now spreads fear in the United States. All right. Now, as you guys can see, right, this article was posted here, updated, right, September 24th of 2024. This is a fairly new article. This is a fairly new article. Okay. Former federal agent Wes Tabor says his phone has been lighting up with calls from police departments around the U.S. for advice on how to combat the growing threat from the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Okay. Tabor was in charge of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration office in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas in 2012, when the gang was still new and when Tabor had barely heard of it. Venezuela had long been a major terrorist zone for cocaine smuggled by Colombian guerrillas, with a leftist government that had close ties to some of America's top adversaries, from Iran to Russia. So the homegrown street gang, although a concern to U.S. embassy personnel and their daily movements around Venezuela's dangerous capital, was not considered a major security risk in the United States. Now, let me ask you guys this. Listen, any gang that has any type of political, if I was running the country, or if I ran anything, right, any type of gang that has any type of political rooting, automatically you're a top threat. I'm watching you. I'm automatically watching you. I don't know why the United States, I don't know why it wasn't a serious threat to the United States. You know what I'm saying? Now, more than a decade later, the gang has become a menace, even on American soil, and has exploded into the U.S. presidential campaign amid a spree of kidnappings, extortion, and other crimes throughout the Western Hemisphere, tied to a mass exodus of Venezuelan migrants. Now, again, mind you, this is Associated Press. This ain't Fox News. So now let me ask you this. When the Associated Press is saying this, is this missing disinformation? Because, again, you know, Fox News is not my favorite news organization, right? But it seems like when Fox News is talking about something like this, it's automatically deemed as mis or disinformation. But again, I got to ask you guys, is this mis or disinformation right here? Is this mis or disinformation? Now, I don't know how safe it is that in American media, if news comes from one news organization, it's automatically deemed as mis or disinformation because of political affiliation. I don't know how safe that is. I think that that's part of post-truth politics. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Now, shout out to Sybil. Sybil says, because the government was sending those prisoners to our black neighborhoods. Now, let's look at the logistics. Let's look at the logistics. Because in most logistics, right? Because as we know, logistics is quote unquote transport of a product, right? So most logistics from point A to point B, there's a chain of transportation, right? So if the migrants are getting moved around, we have to look at the logistics, right? So we got to look at the logistics. So what facilitated the movement? One of the things that facilitated the movement is Operation Lone Star, Greg Abbott, right? Sending migrants to particular areas. Now, what areas did Greg Abbott send those people to? Greg Abbott sent those people. There's two ways that we can describe these places. What are the two ways that we can describe these places? What are the two ways that we can describe these places? See, because I'm going somewhere with this. There's a lot of different demographic characteristics that we can use to describe where these migrants have been transported to. DC Precise says sanctuary. Let DNC cities. Gotta ask a question. Now, we're gonna compare this, right? Shout out to Sybil. Sybil says because the government was sending those prisoners to our black neighborhoods. That would be true in most cases, right? Now, DC Precise says sanctuary cities. Now, let me ask you guys this. Are sanctuary cities and black cities synonymous, or are those two different things? Cameron says, quote unquote, black cities because we are guinea pigs. Now, here's the thing. Which one is easier to prove? Which one out of all of these is the easiest to prove without using any conspiracy theory, with just looking on paper and showing facts? Which one is the easiest to prove? Professor Najee, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, says illegal immigrants are proxy mercenaries. The way they was walking around those Venezuelan, or the way they was walking around those apartment buildings with the AK-47s and all that. I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying, wouldn't disagree with some of them people. You know what I'm saying, with that assessment as far as some of those people go. That TikTok dude was allegedly a military officer. You know what I'm saying? The DNC, and shout out to Sybil. Sybil says two different things, right? Cameron says DNC. I would agree. Now, here's the failures, right? Where is a conservative black enclave? A bunch of black people, you know what I'm saying? Greg Foreman and Officer Tatum and Larry Elder and Rick's, what was his name? Tim Scott and Byron Donald, all living together in a neighborhood in harmony, a black conservative enclave, a model for the rest of us to follow. You know what I'm saying? Right? Where is one of those at? Is there one? Does anybody know of an area, a concentrated black conservative city, municipality? Is there one? Does that exist? Mark Thompson, right. Well, you know, Mark Thompson would have a plantation. Right. Right. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says they live alone, surrounded by white folks. Now, why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because of their failures to build a community, because they failed to build communities, right? We can never judge to see if Greg Abbott would send migrants to the black conservative enclave. That's a failure on black conservative part, right? They failed. They didn't build any type of communities while sitting there criticizing everybody else of building communities and the condition of our communities, right? Our communities are existent. Theirs are non-existent. Non-existent is a supreme failure in comparison to existent. There is no such thing as a black conservative community. Where is it? Where's the physical location of it? What's the population? Who's the police department? Who's the elected representatives? Right? So these people are failures. And they're criticizing and critiquing people about things that they themselves have failed to produce. Right? Now, everybody's not out of the woods yet. They're not out of the woods yet because the monolith has made Black American cities and DNC cities synonymous. So they've given somebody like Greg Abbott an out. So Greg Abbott can say, yeah, it's not about color. It's about politics. Now, to understand that it's about color, you would have to understand Greg Abbott and his Texas business policy of working with and encouraging European imported businesses to come in and do business in Texas. But most people don't talk about that. It's not in the algorithm. Nobody cares. It's nothing funny. Nobody gonna laugh and joke the whole damn time, right? But if we talk about the Democrat cities, the sanctuary cities, they're giving him an out. That's not about race. It's about politics. And I don't like these Democrat politicians. Quality control. Quality control. And Biden did indeed say that. It was in a Senate hearing. They're running quality control. Look at this. Let me ask you guys this. What percentage of quote unquote Black cities in the United States are blue cities? I need you guys to let me know. What percentage of, as these cities that we call quote unquote Black cities, are blue cities? Quality control. They're running quality control on ninjas. 100%. So now, if somebody like Greg Abbott says, I'm only doing this because of politics, at Lysol ratios of 100%, how can anybody separate that and say, no, he's not? Because of the monolith, and in addition to the monolith, because of Black conservative failure, Black conservative mediocrity, right? Because of all of those factors, privilege of plausible deniability has been given to people like Greg Abbott. Now, here goes my question. Who put a gun to anybody's head and made people give Greg Abbott plausible deniability? Nobody told anybody to be Democrats at Lysol ratios. That's just goofy. If your investment advisor tells you to diversify your portfolio, why would you not diversify your portfolio of communities? I want everybody to seriously think about that. Does that make any sense? Everybody has a problem with Democrats, but 100% of the blue cities are Black in population, Democrat in politics. It doesn't have to be like that. So why is it like that? What are the factors that hold those statistics together? What are the factors that make those statistics a reality? We can rule out anybody having a gun to their head, right? So what else? So when it comes to the logistics of these migrants, Greg Abbott is sending them all over the place, right? But the people receiving them are receiving them, as it appears, because of the representation that they put into place. Is that a factual statement or is that a false statement? Is that Manhattan Institute and Heritage Foundation mis or disinformation, or are those the facts? Who put Brandon Johnson in office? Who put Lori Lightfoot in office? Who put Eric Adams in office? Who put these people in office? We see specific people who are sanctuary cities getting these migrants. There's other people that are not. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If Mayor Eric Adams or Lori Lightfoot or any one of these people were in a different state and their state had sanctuary cities, would they be subject to receiving migrants? Now, Mike Johnston and Governor Polis, a lot of them cities in Colorado, Aurora got the most black people in Colorado, but I don't think it's majority black. What's up with Colorado getting the migrants? What's up with the places in Minnesota getting the migrants? Who's voting for those people there? Now, Polis, similar to Biden. Now, look at how people voted for Biden. People don't like being reminded about how they voted for Biden, but they're going to get reminded anyway. Now, do you think that if people, the same people that voted for Biden, you think they voted for Polis in Colorado? If you guys think that they voted for Polis in Colorado, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, then give me a thumbs down. Why people keep voting for these people? Somebody make it make sense. So that's the chain of logistics. There's a receiver. The receiver gets chosen. You can get somebody that's not a receiver, or you can get somebody that's a receiver. The people keep choosing receivers. And then they ask, why is this happening? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says, the best part is they talk like they have authority on the subject despite the awful results. Yeah. So I want to ask you guys this. Do y'all think that people will change their voting behavior or no? If you ask me, I don't think that the voting behavior is going to change. And one of the reasons I don't think that it's going to change is because there's no proof of change. Because the last polls that came out that showed all of the demographics showed Kamala Harris getting 85% support. She's still getting isopropyl alcohol ratios of support. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says, y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all black. Y'all black. And them the same people that put Tiffany Henyard in. And she telling them they ought to be ashamed of themselves. That the only thing they should be ashamed of themselves for is putting her in office. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing they should be ashamed of themselves for. Now, we got to this because this, I don't think that people actually want to solve this problem. I truly don't. It's not that difficult. These ain't difficult. If this is If these are the most difficult problems that we'll face in the next 100 years, we got it good. Next 100 years, we got artificial intelligence is going to be competing with humanity. You know what I'm saying? Apophis asteroid, you know what I'm saying, going to pass the Earth's orbit. It's a lot of existential threats. We're in line for the 5th extinction, you know what I'm saying, on the pattern of extinctions of you know what I'm saying, that take place on the planet Earth. A lot of different existential threats facing humanity as a whole, right? Then, you know, there'll be plenty of videos that come up. Well, you know what I'm saying? What does the Apophis asteroid have to do with FBA? You know what I'm saying? It's going to be all over YouTube, right? I don't know. What does it have to do with us? Who knows, right? If dealing with politics is the most difficult thing that we will have to deal with in the next 100 years, man, we got it so good. We're going to have it so good. It should be smooth sailing from here on out. Would you guys agree? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. If dealing with a problem like this is the most difficult thing that we are tasked with in the next 100 to 150 years, we've got it really good. We've got it really good. You know what I'm saying? I believe that people actually have become comfortable with having this as a backup plan to mediocrity. And so if you ever try your own initiatives and those initiatives fail and you don't get the result that you want to get, you can always fall back on this as to why you're in the position that you're in. And that's one of the reasons why people don't try to make an effort to solve it. It's not hard. I've had to deal with math problems and statistical models and, you know what I'm saying, problems with certain type of data way more difficult than this. I don't understand why this seems to be just like such an impossible task, an insurmountable task. The bizarre level of difficulty with this is almost enough. It's not quite enough yet, but it's almost enough to make me explore supernatural and extra scientific explanations for current situations, because it just doesn't make any sense. We got a whole bunch of negative numbers under a square root when it comes to this stuff. It's just bizarre. A lot of erroneous solutions, and it just doesn't make any sense. So now here it says, what sets this group apart is the level of violence, said Tabor, now retired from the DEA. They're aggressive, they're hungry, and they don't know any boundaries because they've been allowed to spread their wings without any confrontation from law enforcement until now. Okay. In July, the Biden administration sanctioned the gang, placing them alongside MS-13 from El Salvador and the mafia-styled Camorra from Italy on a list of transnational criminal organizations, and offering $12 million in reward for the arrest of 3 leaders. Then, this month, Texas Governor Greg Abbott declared TREN DE ARAGUA a Tier 1 threat, directing state police to target the gang and paving the way for stiffer penalties for members. Other states may follow suit. Gang gains notoriety in the United States. Focus on the gang jumped after footage from a security camera surfaced on social media showing up of a group of heavily armed men brazenly entering an apartment in the Denver suburb of Aurora, Colorado. That prompted former President Trump to vow to liberate Aurora from Venezuelans that he quote unquote falsely said were taking over the town. Did he say that? shout out to Karen Jones. That would be, if I did that, that would be off code. I can't do that. I can't say that. I can't do that. I get real close to, you know what I'm saying? I get real close to being attacked by, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people out there. You know what I'm saying? Right? I'd be right on the verge of it. But then, you know what I'm saying, it got to get pulled back. Because the critiques is not allowed. Monolith. Listen, critiques are not allowed. Solutions are not allowed. Progress is not allowed. Only what certain people say is allowed. Right? So because I'm pro progress, progress comes with critique. This is how you know that most people don't have jobs, right? Because most companies claim that they have a culture of continuous improvement. And these claims of continuous improvement come with ongoing evaluation, right? Would you guys agree? I mean, many people have heard about these in their work meetings, company meetings or whatever, right? They talk about this, the orientations and all that. We're not allowed to do that, though, because it's off code. No critiques. Nothing negative. Businesses will pay consultants millions of dollars to give them as much critique and negative feedback as they can to improve their processes. That's illegal for us to do amongst ourselves. Because it's been said that, quote unquote, it's an indictment on black people, which I don't know how it's an indictment. None of us are law enforcement, so nobody's indicting anybody, right? But again, if you look at the way that these employees, right? DC Precise says employee surveys, right? You know what I'm talking about. These are companies that stay in business for a long time. These are companies that make billions of dollars. These are companies and entities that are doing far better than us, that are doing things that we're not doing. But if we do these things, the ones that control everybody's brains try to coon shame you, try to say that you off code. So what does who really wants what? Look at the people who use the methods that I'm talking about. Look at the people that don't. In a world where facts matter, the answer would be clear. But facts don't matter in the world where males have female brains. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. And that's the world that we live in. That's the world that we live in. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says police have called the reports exaggerated, but nonetheless acknowledged that it is investigating 10 gang members for involvement in several crimes, including a July homicide. Among them is a Venezuelan who was arrested in another Denver suburb and accused of helping someone else steal a motorcycle and pointing an AR-15 at a tow truck driver who asked him to move behind his car. Imagine how scary that's got to be, getting an AR-15 pointed at you, which where are these people getting these AR-15s? By somebody that doesn't speak English. So you don't know if they understand you or not. Rainbow Nazariah says, don't resist, Rob. Just join TDA. TDA ain't got no room for me, bro. They don't mess with people like me. You know what I'm saying? They're not about to mess with nobody like me. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't really about to. I don't support gangbangers. You know what I'm saying? Whatever type of gangbanger you are, I don't support gangbanging. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says another was suspected of stealing designer Gucci sunglasses in Boulder and has a multi-state criminal record, including carjacking and vehicular assault. Now, how does this dude have so many criminal records? I mean, how does this dude have? How does he have all this on his rap sheet, man? How he got all this on his rap sheet? Elsewhere, from the heartland to major cities like New York and Chicago, the gang has been blamed for sex trafficking, drug smuggling, and police shootings, as well as exploitation of migrants. The size of the gang and the extent to which its actions are coordinated across state lines with leaders believed to be outside the U.S. is unclear. Now, we know all this, right? Because we talked about this on BLR1. But at the time when we talked about it on BLR1, they said that it was missing disinformation. But now that it's being talked about by the Associated Press, I guess that makes it actual information, I guess. The TREN originated in an infamous prison. The TREN, which means train in Spanish, traces its origin to more than a decade ago to an infamously lawless prison with hardened criminals in the central state of Aragua. It nonetheless has expanded in recent years to more than 8 million desperate Venezuelans fled economic turmoil under President Nicolas Maduro's rule and migrated to other parts of Latin America or the U.S. One of the founders is Hector Guerrero, who was jailed years ago for deleting a police officer, according to Inside Crime, a think tank that monitors organized crime in the Americas. Guerrero, better known by his alias El Nino, Spanish for the boy, later escaped and then was recaptured in 2013. He fled prison again more recently as Venezuela's government tried to reassert control over its prison population and is believed to be residing in Colombia. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he was residing here in the United States. How many of you guys think that he's residing here in the United States? If you guys think that this dude is here in the United States, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't think that he's here in the United States and you think that he might be somewhere else, then give me a thumbs down. Authorities in countries such as Chile, Peru, and Colombia, all with large populations of Venezuelan migrants, have accused the group of being behind a spree of violence in a region that has long had some of the highest murder rates in the world. Now, we need to look at this. This is from July of 2021. This is from July of 2021. And, you know, they're just not really talking about it all like that. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed that like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share this stream to your social media. We got 22 people watching and we got 32 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 50. Authorities in countries such as Chile, Peru, and Colombia, with large populations of Venezuelan migrants, have accused the group of being behind a spree of violence in a region that has had some of the highest murder rates in the world. Now, let me ask y'all this question. Why is it that in this region, why is the murder rate so high? Why is the murder rate so high there? It couldn't possibly be because of the presence of TREN de Aragua. Could it? Couldn't possibly be that. It's got to be something else, right? Republican lawmakers make an issue of the gang. Now there are concerns about its ruthless tactics reaching U.S. shores as members infiltrate the nearly 1 million Venezuelan migrants who have crossed into the United States in recent years. 11 Republicans, led by Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, the vice chair of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, wrote in a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland last week calling for a coordinated strategy from the Biden administration to combat the gang. Now, Kamala Harris likes to brag. Shout out to James Sumler. What's good with it? Kamala Harris likes to brag about prosecuting transnational organizations. Right? How many people have heard Kamala Harris brag about she's been bragging about prosecuting these transnational organizations. Woo! Listen, hey, Mayor Eric Adams is facing a maximum of 45 years in jail. 45 years. That's what Eric Adams is facing. Woo-wee! Oh, man. The administration's weak enforcement of immigration law allows gangs like Tren de Aragua to control and exploit migrants, the letter said. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that. Venezuelan officials expressed bafflement. Meanwhile, back in Venezuela, officials have watched the attention on Tren de Aragua in the United States and have expressed their bafflement. A year ago, President Nicolas Maduro's government claimed that it had dismantled the gang after retaking control of the prison where the group was born. In July, Foreign Minister Yvonne Gill declared Tren de Aragua is a fiction created by the international media. More recently, Diosdado Cabello, a longtime ruling party leader, linked the criminal group back to an alleged plot backed by the United States and opposition to delete Maduro and some of his allies following the July 28th presidential election. Now, what's interesting about this is that, I don't know anything about that theory, but what's interesting about that is that a lot of these quote unquote transnational organizations like Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, right? Hamas, ISIS, MS-13, all of them have a U.S. fingerprint on them. So while I don't have any evidence of, U.S. having anything to do with the construction of Tren de Aragua, we're not going to sit here and act like the United States has never used a political opposition group or a politically based gang to create dissension in other countries. Are we? We're going to act like that hasn't happened? We're going to have to go through the history books. Oh, I forgot these people don't like going through the history books. It's woke. That's right. Never mind. History is woke. I forgot. The United States knows how to carry out destabilization operations, Cabello said Friday when he announced the arrest of several people, including a U.S. citizen, for their alleged roles in the foiled anti-Maduro plan. Why won't they stop them? Now, let me ask y'all this. Is Cabello right? The United States knows how to carry out destabilization operations. What I need everybody to do in the comment section, and shout out to the people that watch on the replay that get to this point here, name some U.S. destabilization operations and the organizations that the United States utilized to destabilize. I'll name you one. The Azov Battalion. What people should do is go back and look at how much money the Obama administration put into the Azov Battalion and why they put that investment into the Azov Battalion. It's a lot of, man, if they put together a list of the receipts that are out there and available on the United States, that would make quite a book. That would make quite a book, wouldn't it? Very interesting. Let's take a look at this.
A violent Venezuelan gang called Tren de Aragua, or TDA, has set up shop in New York City using migrant shelters as a base for their operation. The New York Police Department says the gang is responsible for thefts, high-end stores, and ride-by robberies and scooters. They're also selling something called 2C, or pink cocaine, which is a drug that's becoming more and more prevalent. TDA has also been linked to the shooting of two NY.
Now, you guys remember the pink cocaine, right? Now, the pink cocaine, right, is the same cocaine that was used by that girl, right? The pink cocaine was used by that girl in that car accident in Miami. You guys remember that? If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise said, what's the name of that Denzel movie? No doubt. It's the CI. Safe House. That's the joint. Yeah, the Safe House. Yeah. Facts, bro.
NYPD police officers. And New York isn't the only city dealing with TDA. From Chicago to Denver to New York City, there have been dozens of arrests that have been linked to the group. The Department of Homeland Security official told the New York Times that federal officials were, quote, working on more than 100 investigations linked to the gang at one point this year. And, quote, officers nationwide have made more than 50 arrests related to the gang. In Aurora, Colorado, there's still ongoing debate as to whether the gang was responsible for taking over an apartment building in a now viral video. Gangbangers can be seen roaming the halls with guns and seemingly breaking into apartments. This video, by the way, went so viral that even Donald Trump took notice of it. Here's what he said at the debate.
What's happening? You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio, Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country.
Okay. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Again, now that part right there, right? That's where Trump was doing good at in the debate, right? If you guys would agree that what Trump is saying is true right there, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree and you don't think that what he's saying is true right there, then give me a thumbs down. Is what he's saying true? Or is what he's saying false?
Okay, so we're joined right now by somebody who used to be in a gang in Chicago, who went to prison for 20 years for murder, and he thinks that TDA is such a problem in the city that he fears an all-out turf war.
Now look at this. Ex-cons for Trump. Ex-cons for Trump. You went to jail for 20 years. Bro, you can't even vote. Ex-cons for Trump. Crazy work. Now, do y'all see what I'm talking about? These people that project. Now, this dude got all the answers on how to make the community, whatever you want to call it, better after running rampant, destroying it to the point where you're an ex-convict. And we should listen to you. Why? And you're going to project your degeneracy of your youth onto those of us who are living good, productive lives. I think that is people's choice if they want to be subject to listen to these people or not. I don't like being preached to by people that made every single mistake in the world. I don't. I'm not going to sit here and lie. And the reason why I don't is because, again, if you listen to all of these scorned black conservatives, most of these scorned black conservatives are either former Pookies who are so ashamed of their past history that they want to project it onto everybody to normalize that type of behavior to make themselves not look that bad. Or another talking point that they use is the single mom talking point. Most of these simps are the male embodiment of a female brain from being raised by that very single mother that they're shaming everybody else about being raised by, and most of us are not raised by single moms. This is another example. But let's see if this guy has anything valuable.
And Biden led into our country.
Okay, so we're joined right now by somebody who used to be in a gang in Chicago, who went to prison for 20 years for murder, and he thinks that TDA is such a problem in the city that he fears an all-out turf war is about to break out between the TDA and local Southside gangs. Tyrone Muhammad is with us. He's now part of a group called Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change, Ex-Cons for Trump. Thank you so much for joining us. So why do you believe that a turf war might be imminent?
What you have to understand, thanks for having me, Jesse. What you have to understand is that Chicago gang culture is not like what it used to be, where during the Clinton 1994 crime bill, you removed men who actually controlled the streets that was rather respectful to his neighbors as well, if that's not oxymoronic, right? Rather respectful and also had a link to the communities that they lived or was involved with. Now you have a...
Now let me ask y'all this question. Would you guys agree with that? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't agree with that, then give me a thumbs down. Now, my question is, what kind of link? What are we talking about here? What kind of link? What kind of link are we talking about here? Now, let me ask you guys this question. What did these gangs do for communities? According to I mean, he said that they had some type of link to the communities. What kind of link? Can anybody tell me the positive outcomes that any gangs had in any community? Shout out to Leonard. Leonard said he's trying to make gangs look like enemy combatants. It's just very interesting.
Situation where we have now cliques, crews, and sets that don't follow certain guidelines and structures.
So now this is what you see, right? On YouTube, you see, young generations blaming the old generations, for political failures. And in the streets, you see the old generation blaming the young generation for failures. Shout out to Leonard. Leonard said it's a slippery slope. There are several different angles. Facts. We gotta ice skate uphill on this one. We gotta ice skate uphill on this one. But I already see some similarities to what's going on, you know what I'm saying? Current day. Right? Current day, you got the younger generation blaming the old generation, right? And right here, we got the old generation blaming the young generation. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's look at this, right? I told y'all we will revisit this. Now, we specifically talking about Chicago. Chi-Town, Dollar Bill, you know what I'm saying? Brandon Johnson. Right? So let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick. Folk Nation. The Folk Nation is an alliance of street gangs originating in Chicago, established in 1978. The alliance has since spread throughout the United States, particularly the Midwest region. Shout out to the Midwest of the United States, right? Now, why is it in the Midwest? We know why it's in the Midwest. It goes without saying, right? The Folk Nation was formed on November 11th. Oh, there's some Scorpios. Oh, we're not supposed to talk about zodiac signs. Within the confines of the Stateville Correctional Center. So it's arguable to say that the Folk Nation is a quote-unquote prison gang. Is that correct? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Larry Hoover, the chairman, and then you'll hear Rick Ross. Rick Ross worships Larry Hoover a lot. You'll hear Rick Ross barely breathing, you know what I'm saying, and getting that out when he's doing what he attempts to call rapping or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Larry Hoover. You know what I'm saying? That's Rick Ross talking about that, worshiping this. You know what I'm saying? The chairman of the Gangster Disciple Nation created the idea of the alliance and persuaded many leaders of large black, white, and Latino gangs from Chicago to join. So when people ask, what about that black and brown coalition? This is why I always be like, what about it? What about it? You know what I'm saying? What about it? There go one right there. Folk Nation was created to protect and counter from People Nation invading neighborhoods of People Nation. Now, who is the People Nation? Look at this. The People Nation is an alliance of street gangs generally associated with the Chicago area. Their rivals are the Folk Nation alliance of gangs. So these gangs unified to be divided. And now look at this. You see when they were formed? They were formed in 1978. In 2024, they sitting there talking about if they don't unify, which this is a unit, this, right? This and this. These are both unifications, right? These are both unifications. They're already unified to be divided. And now they're talking about if further unity doesn't occur, they're under threat of these Venezuelan prison gangs, the Venezuelan gang, TREN DE ARAGUA. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. Sound like politics to me. That's why they got a Trump hat on.
Men who actually controlled the streets that was rather respectful to his neighbors as well, if that's not oxymoronic, right? Rather respectful, and also had a link to the communities that they lived or was involved with. Now you have a situation where we have now cliques, crews, and sets that don't follow certain guidelines and structures that were set by founding gang leaders and founding gang literature, right? So what happens is now you get these new gangs, these new terrorists. I call them terrorists because the very fact that you can.
He called them terrorists. He don't call them young bloods. He called them terrorists. He don't call them young bloods. He called them terrorists. Hey, I got a question though. Who responsible for them terrorists? Who created them terrorists? Who made that? Who created that culture?
And allow people to cross our borders and potentially harm American citizens that go unchecked with no regulation, and then placed in communities that's already disinvested and some people would go as far as to say they allowed y'all to do the same thing. Would you, if you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Potentially harm American citizens.
I mean, don't gangs potentially harm American citizens anyway? So, I mean, what is this? Are we in the, what is this?
And structures that were set by founding gang leaders and founding gang literature, right? So what happens is now you get these new gangs, these new terrorists. I call them terrorists because the very fact that you can allow people to cross our borders, potentially harming citizens that go unchecked with no regulation, and then placed in communities that's already disinvested and violated.
Well, one of the people, I would say that one of the people that are responsible for the community disinvestment, gangs. Now, mind you, right, taxpayer dollars should be going into those communities, right? But at the same time, I mean, are gangs improving the value of a community, or are they decreasing the value? I'm curious if somebody would ask, in the areas that you all considered your turf, what did you all do to bring up the property value? What would the answer to that question be? Would there be an answer? What did you all do throughout the time of your existence and throughout the time of you all having control over that territory? What did you all do to bring up the property value? What would the answer to that question be? Because these are all these people make these are choices. Just like he chose to come on here to News Nation and speak his piece. All of those years of resume building that he did, those were all choices too, right? Okay. Value added, value decreased. What'd you do? What'd you do? Shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share this stream to your social media. We got 23 people watching. Shout out to y'all. And we got 38 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 60.
By the policies of this current administration in Chicago and big cities and throughout this country is a violation of democracy and really treason.
Now, who voted? Now, listen, let me ask y'all this. If the politicians are committing treason, is it fair to say that the people that put the politicians in place are indirectly responsible for the treason? Because the politicians said what they were going to do and the people voted for them. I mean, these are facts. We know this. We've seen it. There's video proof of it. There's no point in denying it. People can deny, but the footage is out there. So if these politicians are quote unquote engaged in treason, are the people that supported these politicians also engaged in treason? That's my question for you guys. Don't be shy.
The policies of this current administration in Chicago and big cities and throughout this country is a violation of democracy and really treason. And with that being said, now these young men don't live by those same codes. And these guys come in, they blend in with the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, and other Latin Americans, and they're integrating into their gang culture.
Duh. Who you think they was going to integrate with? More than likely, right? Cultural similarities. Well, for one, it's probably easiest to deal with people that you can communicate with. They speak the same language. Now, the problem is, right, we just saw where we read what's going on with the folk nation. I mean, you're going to have these people integrated with one part of the folk nation. People get mad when I be like, yo, some people don't even do crime right. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell anybody. I know a lot to tell anybody. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people ain't gonna listen. You know what I'm saying?
And they blend in with the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, and other Latin Americans. And
now let me ask you this. That's kind of complicated in itself, right? Let's go through that. How do they blend in with the Puerto Ricans, the Latinos, and the Latin Americans? How does that particular element work? And I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe if they had some of the same type of guidelines that some of these other people had, then maybe that blending really wouldn't be a problem, because you'd be able to readily identify people who are your issue. Like you might have caused a problem of camouflage. Right? I mean, if you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
And big cities and throughout this country is a violation of democracy and really treason. And with that being said, now these young men don't live by those same codes. And these guys come in, they blend in with the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, and other Latin Americans, and they're integrating into their gang culture. And what they're doing is starting to set up.
Now, let me ask y'all this. Do the Aryan gangs, you know what I'm saying? Do they have these kind of issues of quote unquote people blending in and not being able to tell who's who? I think they got the Aryan gangs, the prison gangs, and you know what I'm saying? And then I think they got another one called the Woods. Do they have these kind of problems?
Up in our various neighborhoods, taking over abandoned buildings, taking boards down, making those buildings their own, and then setting up outside of the shelters that they're in to pretty much as a way of tagging those blocks and community to say, hey, this is our turf. And before long, if we don't get in front of this, there will be a powder keg of bloodshed because there's already a disconnect in terms of culture and language.
So Tyrone, real quick, about 30 seconds. What are you and your organization? What are the community? What can they do to fight back against this?
Well, we've been on the ground since the beginning. We've been fighting forcefully, letting the Democratic Party and the policymakers in this Chicago know that it is unacceptable for them to continue to violate our communities. And as Black men returning.
So, I mean, at the same time, though, right? Then it seems to me that the voters are if you continue to have a problem with Democratic politicians, ultimately the voters that keep giving those people power, the voters are the problem. If the voters were voting for different people, those particular politicians wouldn't be the problem. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Again, do you guys see what I'm saying about how this isn't rocket science?
Citizens who've actually had a hand in the terroristic effect of violence in these communities, we're on the front line now saying, hey, we have to protect our communities and our neighborhoods and our blocks.
Now, let me ask you guys this. Do you protect the neighborhood? I mean, I think it's a little bit too late. You protect your neighborhoods and your blocks by making sure that you own all of the businesses, by making sure that you have all of the politicians there, by making sure that you have a strong community with the kids growing up with a future and the parents of middle and upper class people because you're making money. That's how you protect the community, not walking around with a bandana on your head with an AR-15. You have the people with bulletproof vests on, police and security guards guarding your businesses so you don't have to have gangs in your community. Somebody missed class that day. And it's costing people a couple decades later. I mean, to me, you know what I'm saying? It sounds good, but it's ultimately too late. If the community was controlled, most of the resources would have been owned, and the government would not have been able to just come in there and say, this is our building. It's a government building. We're going to turn it into a migrant shelter. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said they don't protect SHIT. I say the gangs on both sides need to go. Big facts. Big facts. This is a little bit too late. I mean, all of the stuff that he's talking about can be done through politics, and you've been on the street for all these years, and in 2024, you decide to get political with it. I don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Tyrone, thank you for amplifying this issue, coming on, exposing it. I think it was a wake-up call for a lot of people. Tyrone Muhammad, thank you.
Is it a wake-up call for a lot of people? Is it? I don't know if it is or not. I don't know if we can. Let me shout out to y'all. Is this a wake-up call for a lot of people? You would have thought that California would have been a wake-up call for people. You would have thought. I mean, I hate to say it, if these is wake up call, like people not even asleep, man. They like in like stage 3, 4 anesthesia. It's not even asleep. You know what I'm saying? You got to get like you got to shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like epinephrine and all. You know what I'm saying? Like all kinds of stimulant drugs, Sudafedrin. You know what I'm saying? And people to wake them up. This is not even a sleep state. It's beyond the sleep. This is a coma. You know what I'm saying? Now look at this. Look at this. These gangs blaming the migrant crisis, man. Like this is wild, man. Oh man! Shout out to Carlton Jones or Cameron Jones. Cameron said we're gonna need our gangs to be what they started as. If you ask me, I think the gangs can just go ahead and dive into a trash compactor. You know what I'm saying? That's what they should have started out as. That's what community should have turned them into. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they need to be. You know what I'm saying? Nope. Not the current gangs, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? Nope. How that song go? Yup. Nope. Nah, this is it. This is them on the doorstep of the Natural History Museum, crying for their last breath of oxygen and their last ounce of glory. Nah. Just go ahead and go. Get up on that display. You know what I'm saying?
America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now.
The city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke. It's going to go up in flames.
Gangs in Chicago are angry over the influx of migrants and criminals in their city. They say money that
gangs in Chicago are look gangs in Chicago angry about like what? What? This is almost as insane. Listen, this is almost as insane as people being outraged about voting for Brandon Johnson, voting for Joe Biden, and then Brandon Johnson and Joe Biden doing what they said that they was going to do. That's crazy, man. This is crazy.
America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now.
America made gangs in the country, right? And America weaponized gangs in the country, right? Let me ask y'all this. How many of these gangs was helping, you know what I'm saying, with selling crack to black people? How many of these gangs was using Freeway Ricky Ross as a plug? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, Carlton says, smells like our friend George S. is behind this. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Kid. Yeah, it's not the first time that the U.S. has imported gangs. It's also not the first time that the United States has used domestic gangs. The United States used the domestic gangs. Would you guys agree? I mean, like, I just this. I don't know what to say. Now, you know, I'm sure, you know what I'm saying, there's going to be other people that have a different perspective on this. Nah. Nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, come on, man. I can't with this. You know what I'm saying? I can't with it. I can't with this. This is wild. Shout out to Not for Kamala. Not for Kamala says, the demons, y'all, Chameleon is in charge. She's getting plenty of help, too. Shout out to my man, We Lit. What's good with you, bro? Hashtag the simple things, bro. Facts. Not for Kamala says, the demon rats have decided they... Now, let me ask you this. What is a person that votes for a demon rat? What is the person that votes for a demon rat? What is the person that has contributed to the demon rats getting their power and prominence? What is that? Yeah, shout out to Carlton Wade. Carlton says, yes, the domestic gangs are weapons of WS used for population control. Now, you want to get into some conspiracy theories, right? Why is it that the Bloods and the Crips got the same colors as the Democrats and the Republicans? I think it's I mean, you know, for some reason, you know what I'm saying? You know, I think it's because of simp culture. The gangs, they get out of a lot of the scrutiny. But when are we going to start having the Masonic conversation about these gangs? When we going to start having the Masonic conversation about some of these gangs and how boule some of these gangs are? When we going to start talking about the gangs links to the boule and the secret societies with their red and blue colors? With their Fibonacci ratio numbers like MS 13, 33rd Street. You know what I'm saying? When we going to talk about these paid white supremacist agents masquerading as low-income black people, going around purposely deleting young black prodigy children? Because you got to have pretty good aim to miss all your targets, but only shoot that 5-year-old kid that was on a prodigy program on a high trajectory to do something with their life in the public schools. You got to have pretty crappy aim, or you got to have pretty good aim. When we going to start talking about these paychecks that these gangs get from the government and stop covering for these clowns? Rappers sitting up there telling, you know what I'm saying? These gangs be Diddy partying. Now the gang culture is completely integrated with the music culture. They selling it. Snoop Dogg talking about he a Crip. Jim Jones talking about he a Blood. You ain't none of these cats is out here banging. Y'all millionaires. Y'all billionaires. All these rap cats that's okay, they need you in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Rick Ross, you've been talking about Larry Hoover and BMF and all. Hey, they need you in Chicago, bro. Let me ask y'all this, man. When the new rap albums start coming out, how many times you think we're gonna hear these fools mention Tren de Aragua? Yeah, shout out to Leonard. Yeah, Set, it's the snake. You know what I'm saying? Leonard said they called the gang a Set. Set is Egyptian name for the devil. Yeah, Set. The serpent of Set. Set or Seth, right? And you know, these cats, they be plebiscite babbling. They know what's up with alchemy, you know what I'm saying, and Kemet and all of that. So they know all that. And if they didn't learn it on the street, then they learned it in prison. Yeah, some fool gonna name themselves Tren de Aragua. I'm Tren de like Aragua. You know it's coming. It's just a matter of time.
The city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke. It's going to go up in flames.
Gangs in Chicago are angry over the influx of migrants and criminals in their city. They say money that should
how are you? You're a criminal in the city and you mad at other criminals. This is like this. Like you can't make it up, man. You can't make it up. You know what I'm saying?
be going to the
Now, you know, it's going to be those people out there. And there was some coons online. Man, okay, bro. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna shout out to Carlton. They're gonna coon me up for this one. You know what I'm saying?
American community on the South Side is instead going to what they call non-citizens and warn that turf wars between Chicago's gangs and groups like Venezuela's Tren de Aragua could see Chicago, quote, go up in flames. Photographer Matt McDermott and I traveled to Chicago's South Side to see what was happening for ourselves.
Now, check this out, right? Haven't these gang rivalries and these gang wars, I mean, this has been like Chicago, there's been listen, when it comes to talking about this stuff in terms of like hip hop and stuff, right? What do they always say? We pulling receipts. California got the Bloods and the Crips, but Chicago is home to gang culture. How many times do y'all hear them say that? So to me, what it sounds like is everybody right at home. Right? Hey, that's a good question. Carl just said, how come no? Hey, there was the X Clan, though. We can't say that. There was the X Clan, but they made sure to get rid of that type of hip hop. They made sure to get rid of that type of hip hop. Carl just said, how come no rapper named themselves Martin Luther King? Facts.
After we heard about a police report last month that the Tren de Aragua gang had taken over an office building there, we spoke to a number of young, hardcore gang members.
Now, listen, how many people are these are police reports that we're not hearing about, right? How many people heard about Tren de Aragua taking over an office building in Chicago? If you guys heard about that, give me a thumbs up. If you did not hear about that, then give me a thumbs down. I didn't hear about that one. And like I said, I cover this for the most part on all of my channels. But now, yeah, shout out to the X Clan, right? And shout out to, rap music like Arrested Development. You know what I'm saying? I didn't hear about that, though. That's something new. I didn't catch that one. But what people should pay very close attention to now, as far as this whole deportation and conspiracy theory thing and all this, right? Now, they've made these conspiracy theories. Well, Trump going to deport Black Americans. I don't think that there's any truth in that because I don't know how that would occur. But I would tell you this. I would say that Trump is going to prioritize dealing with the migrant crisis in non-Black areas before he prioritizes it in Black areas. You know what I'm saying? He already said that he was going to do that. Yeah. Shout out to Leonard. Leonard said Martin Luther King isn't even named Martin Luther King. Welcome to the side world. Yeah, like most people don't even know the real history of Martin Luther, right? There's that. You know what I'm saying? Because Martin Luther King was a reverend at Ebenezer Baptist Church, if I'm not mistaken, right? So why would he be named after Martin Luther, who was the founder of Lutheranism, right? Lutheranism is not really even, I mean, it is kind of Christianity, but it's more of a derivative of Catholicism. It's not really similar to like mainstream Christianity like that. Lutheranism is more similar to Catholicism. You know what I'm saying? So, there's that, right?
As well as gang elders who have retired from the life and just regular citizens who are very much part of the community. And they're all furious at the estimated $500 million that's reportedly been funneled toward new migrants in Chicago since 2022. And they aren't happy either about what they say are Venezuelan criminal gangs that are leaving the shelters and spilling out into the South Side into abandoned buildings. I spoke to Tyrone Muhammad of Ex-Cons for Trump.
I mean, okay, like if the Chicago gangs, you know what I'm saying, if the Chicago gangs are doing that, why ain't them buildings trapped out? It shouldn't be no spilling into them other buildings because them buildings should already be occupied. Them buildings should be trapped out, right? So if it's all them buildings available, I mean, why them buildings ain't trapped out?
Who runs a street patrol and violence prevention program. He's gone straight since his days as an enforcer for the Gangster Disciples. And he said the situation is very tense on the South Side as turf battles between the local gangs and Venezuelan migrants heat up.
It is impossible to.
And look at this. Look at this. Now, this is crazy for them to even fight this turf war, right? This is pure insanity, if you ask me. The Venezuelan gangs the law is not going to do anything to them. All of these, Black American gangs, these Black American gangbangers, they gonna get hit with the full force of the law. You're not even gonna be able to retaliate. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not doing nothing to these people because they're in a sanctuary city. You got the whole disadvantage going against you. How do you fight against people that are protected by the law and you're not? How do you do it?
Release gang members and criminals into our country through the borders and broken walls, and then infiltrate them in our community that's already impoverished, that's already broken, that's already disinvested. And when the Black gangs, the leadership in the Black gangs in Chicago get fed up with the illegalities and the criminal activity of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke, it's going to go up in flame, and there's going to be nothing that the National Guard or our government can do about it when the bloodshed hit the streets.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. I think there's a little bit of grandiose complex here. Do you guys agree with what this guy is saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. You guys, you guys already, I don't even need to say this. You guys already know, you know what I'm saying? I disagree with this. You know what I'm saying? I think that the track record shows that the United States government has a pretty good job. They have a pretty good track record at keeping things under control. You know what I'm saying? In given localities. They running quality control on ninjas. They don't even have to send in anybody alive. They can just send in drones to these places. Yeah, shout out to Carlton. Carlton said the government could. I mean, remember in Philadelphia, even in Tulsa, you know what I'm saying? They just use planes and drop bombs. Like, come on. Where the gang members getting the drone at? Where the gang members getting some bombs at? When does that ever happen? When have we ever seen that happen? Let me ask you guys this question. Where is a time in U.S. history when the gangs defeated the United States government? Yeah, I would agree with not for Kamala. Never. Yeah. The bombing of West Philadelphia. Fact. Shout out to Cameron. Yeah. Shout out to Leonard. Leonard said when they want to kick them out, the Mexicans and the ninjas and Puerto Ricans and Haitians will mysteriously start murking. I don't even think it'll be a mystery. And what are they going to do about it? It's migrant crime, so they're not going to get in trouble. Carlton said they're going to put them Gates Millennium Foundation bugs on you. They're gonna have them Hezbollah pagers. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna say Los Pollos Hermanos and then blow up. Gus Fring gonna be hitting that bell like ding 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 ding. Then the pager gonna blow up. People gotta think in terms of reality. Like this dude gassed up. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like all this man, bro. All they gonna do is throw a couple of smoke grenades in there and have everybody on their knees. Like, stop it. The hell out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? The hell out of here. If it was really like that, the prisons wouldn't be so full. Look, What prison? Listen, what prison in the United States been taken over like that prison in Venezuela that these people came from? These people took over the prison in Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? They ain't took over no prison here in the United States. The only people that took over a prison here in the United States is the ones in the White House. You know what I'm saying? That group of criminals. And they criminal offspring. Like Hunter Biden. You know what I'm saying? So if you ask me, this is a lot of grandiose posturing right here. Speaking of New York City, you know what I'm saying? Mayor Eric Adams, right? They got them robots. They got the robot dogs. Listen, Chicago, well, they just got rid of the Shot Spotter, but I'm sure they got something else. I don't think that it would go the way that this guy is saying that it would go. I don't. If that's the case, we would see many stories of gangs backing police down and police not really getting a man all like that. But we don't see that in the United States. In the United States, what we see is somebody getting killed and then an airbrush t-shirt party. That's what we see. Yeah, I don't mess with gangs, bro. I don't mess with them, bro. I don't have no sympathy for these dudes. I spent my entire life not being in a gang. You got what you got, I got what I got. And it is what it is. I got an issue with the way that I conduct myself not being looked at like it's the prevailing culture, and the way that these people conduct themselves, despite the fact that there's a lot less people like that and a lot more people like me. These people get looked at like this nonsense is the pervasive culture. I don't have no see, like, people got male, females. This is the bear. This is the bear that the females choose. This is why a lot of dudes want to be like this so they could be chose. Male, females. As much as people will say that they don't like, you know what I'm saying, yada, 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 and this, that, and the other, people got a soft spot for people like that. I don't have no soft spot for people like this. Male, females got a soft spot for people like this. Male, females always got a soft spot for the wrong type of people. Why? Because females choose the bear. And when you dealing with male, females choose the bear too. Most dudes is out here
just like a woman. That's because some of you niggas, you be acting just like a woman. The Reaper keep it 1,000.
And simp culture prevails.
Blacks against migrants.
Zach Massey did time in state prison with Tyrone Muhammad, although he's only 27. He's a leader on the streets and said he's disgusted by the money going to Venezuelan migrants at the expense, he says, of the African-American community.
But you're not disgusted at the negative effect that you had on the African-American community. You're not disgusted by your years of terrorizing the African-American community, which is what put you into prison. Do y'all see the mentality of why like stuff does not improve? Not like there's not even an attempt to try to figure out where issues actually started. Immediate blame shift. This migrant crisis has not been the problem the entire time. Did the migrant crisis cause you to do jail time? Now, mind you, right? I don't think that I've contributed to many negative stereotypes, right? But I'm a coon. I'm a coon. I'm off code for looking at this like this. Something wrong with me. Something's wrong with me, the one who has not been to prison. Y'all see the problem? Y'all see do y'all see the problem, and do y'all identify who the problems are? That's all it is. Shout out to Carlton. That's all it is. Carlton said maybe they mad because the migrant gangs can terrorize people without consequences, and they can't. That's all it is. And it's fake outrage. So now we're going to act like we care about the community that we've contributed to destroying and are part of the reason why the migrants are there in the first place. Yeah. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said, gangs are not noble protectors, but what are we going to do for real? Shout out to Blade. You know what I'm saying? I don't live in Chicago. I'm going to do exactly like Blade's homeboy told him after he gave him the last thing of serum. I'm going to catch the rest on CNN. You know what I'm saying?
And I finally actually talked to him on the translator app, and he told me all the things that he got going on, how they help him get a car, apartment, clothes, link. So it's just like, I just be looking at it like they ain't got no social security, no, where they come from. He probably not even here legally.
They get right here. They get quick housing, quick funding, food. They get cars with no license. They can't even read English and stuff like that. So they get all these perks when they get here, and we still hit starving. So what we gonna do about it?
They read y'all, and they read the environment, and they read the neighborhood. They sized that neighborhood up. They was able to read that. I don't know, man. Do y'all see the connection between politics and crime? The politics look just like the crime. Well, if you know about the word Chicago, right? The first three letters is chi, right? And it's on ley lines, right? You know what I'm saying? People should research the interesting human behaviors that take place in Chicago and then look at other places in the world that have ley lines that have that same amount of energy that runs through them, right? Another place that got the similar ley lines to Chicago is the same place where CERN is at. So there's that, right? Now look, these people are moving just like the people moving politics. There's no problem. There's no issue. There's nothing, no root cause that needs to be looked at and addressed. Keep ignoring it. Keep letting the people gas y'all up, man, and tell y'all that it's wins all over the place. Did this look like a W? You know what I'm saying?
Are y'all gonna listen to our cries?
Corey Rogers was a Blackstone gang member for years.
Yeah, this is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like when thugs cry. You know what I'm saying? That's what it sounds like when thugs cry. What you crying for? You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up no thug. But I'll tell you one thing that I wasn't allowed to do. I wasn't allowed to cry.
He drove us around the south side and showed us areas where he said TREN de Aragua and other criminal gangs are setting up shop and what he called showing the flag, which means brandishing their weapons in front of like a housing project.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now in this area. Right now, you don't see them because
I mean, how they take where they ain't got no opposition? How they taking it over? Where the tough guys at? Where these cats that be on YouTube talking about all the banging they be doing at? Maybe they need to stop making YouTube videos and actually get out on the streets and actually start trapping in them trap houses so that people don't have to make content like this. Where them thugs at? Where them thugs at, man, that be beating up the nerds in school that's actually trying to get good grades so that they could do better in life? Where they at? Where them thugs at that be making people lives live in hell? That's just trying to get by every day. Where they at? Go make these people life live in hell. Shout out to my man Patrick. What's good with it, bro? Where they at? Now that a bigger bully came in, we got to go run and tell somebody. You know what I'm saying? And they're not even a bigger bully for real. I mean, they're not a bigger bully. Cameron said, why he wearing a high visibility? He might be going to hunt deer or something.
Come out at night. They said they took this courtway over probably about last week. They said it was 100 Venezuelans standing out in the front right here.
Terry, is it an abandoned building? How do they just take it over?
When you take over something, you just stand outside and that's called showing the flag.
What kind of guns?
Semi-automatics, anything you name, you're going to see it on the street. These boys got so many big guns that if they're 150 pounds, the gun is bigger than them.
Oh man, what's up with this, man? This dude sound like he kind of running scared a little bit. He having those Mad Dog 2020 Wild Irish Rose reminiscing about when it was him in front of the corner store with all his people. Hassling everybody that walked past.
I swear.
But they know how to handle it, right? They know what. Tell me about the fact that they're criminals, right? This is a criminal element. These aren't just a bunch of Venezuelans that walked over the border and used to be gardeners back home, right?
Right. And they come from the gangland. They come from rougher gangs than us.
One gang member who only gave his name is David.
I mean, I don't even know if I don't even know if this like a this like a female in the car DJ Vlad interview. I mean, he all ducked down. Like, bro, it's not even nobody out on the block, bro. Ain't nobody about to shoot you. Like, you definitely in a safe car. Ain't nobody about to shoot that car up. You know what I'm saying?
These boys got so many big guns that if they're 150 pounds, the gun is bigger than them. I swear.
But they know how to handle it, right? They know what. Tell me about the fact that they're criminals, right? This is a criminal element. These aren't just a bunch of Venezuelans that walked over the border and used to be gardeners back home, right?
Right. And they come from the gangland. They come from rougher gangs than us.
One gang.
I thought that was the gangland. I thought wait a minute, hold on. I thought Chicago was the gangland. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. And I'm just going by what these people be saying. Now, do y'all remember it was a TikTok video that had just came back? That had just came out. It was a couple weeks ago. And the dude in the TikTok video was like, where y'all come from, this here in Chicago, this is just like where y'all come from. Remember that? Man, in a couple weeks, the tone kind of changed a little bit, didn't it?
Member who only gave his name as David on a particularly dangerous drug dealing corner on the South Side did not hold back when he talked about the influx of criminal gangs from other countries into Chicago.
The real issue is that America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
That's the issue. That's the issue, man. That's it. There it is. That's it. There it is. We got it all. We got it all together. Yeah, we got switches. We got switches, and they got 100 people out on the block. These fools ran to the New York Post. Listen, they went to the news media that has been smearing them for decades to run and tell on the the Venezuelan gangs. Instead of, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what they're doing up there, but I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know. What y'all got to say? I don't know. Like I said, most people are probably not going to have this kind of take on it. It's going to be a lot of sympathy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of, sorry, man. Nah. Nah. Because I actually dealt with people like this in my life. And I don't like people like this. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no mystique or no, worship for these type. I don't like these type of people, man. Because I came in like, see, like you could tell somebody that like never dealt with this type of element or these type of people because you really wouldn't like these type of people if you ever came in contact with them. I frequently came in contact with people like this. I don't like these type of people. You know what I'm saying? These type of people hurt people that I was friends with. You know what I'm saying?
Chicago.
The real issue is that America has allowed gangs to enter our country. Gangs that they would consider terrorist groups that are formed here. We are terrorist groups. If we're in a gang, they let terrorists in our country.
The Reverend Corey Brooks also said to me he's disgusted with Democratic policies and said that Black Lives Matter, for example, has never reached out to help him or anyone else trying to improve conditions on the South Side.
Chicago is a blue city. Illinois is a blue state.
Who made it a blue city? Who made it a blue state? Let's start there. Who made it a blue city? Who made it a blue state? Let's start there.
There's no doubt about it that the majority of our neighborhood, they're going to continue to vote Democrat until they wake up.
Okay. Well, then you're going to have what you got right now until you wake up. Problem solved. We don't even need to go no further in the stream, right? There should be. So if you live outside of Chicago, how can you change the dynamics inside Chicago? You can't. So what's the use of anybody being upset, outraged, or irritated about this? What's going on here? Yeah, bro, shout out to Patrick, right? I agree. Patrick said, Rob, remember what I said? All these people complain and go right and vote. They about to do it in they about to do it in about a month or two. You know what I'm saying? We literally about 2 months from that happening. Shout out to Carlton, the monolith. And then we'll blame everyone except for the people that voted. They just doing okay. They just doing this to us. They just doing this to us. Now listen, right? Check this out. Now, if there's a hornet's nest somewhere and you go past that hornet's nest got the potential to hurt you, right? But it's not doing anything yet. But now if you go up to that hornet's nest, you be like, what's this? What's this right here? You know what I'm saying? And you stick your hand in it and them hornets start stinging you. Now you got more choices, right? You feel the hornet stinging you, but instead you decide to keep your hand inside the hornet's nest and it sting you some more. If somebody walk past and be like, look, they just keep stinging me. They keep stinging me. I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm the person that's walking past you, I'm going to look at you like you crazy, and I'm about to keep it moving. I'm not helping you. I'm not doing anything. For one, you still got your hand in that hornet's nest. Maybe if you take your hand out of the hornet's nest, maybe I'll go get you some calamine lotion. Maybe. If it's not too much of an inconvenience for me, because I got stuff I got to do. And I don't really have time to inconvenience myself because you chose to stick your hand in a hornet's nest and keep it there after it already had stung you a bunch of times. Why would somebody not look at people with this type of voting pattern that same way? I don't understand. And again, right? Male bodies with a female brain. You know what I'm saying? Cognitive gender confusion. Cognitive gender confusion. You know what I'm saying?
The good news is that there are a lot of people who are responding and waking up and saying, listen, we're not going to take this. We're not going to stand for this. We're going to vote differently. And they're now accepting some of the values.
But now let me listen. What are you standing? Think about this, right? How can you say that you're not standing for the only thing that's being done is that you're dealing with your poor voting choice. That's like if you go to Las Vegas knowing you don't have no money. You spend all your money at the slot machine, and then you say, I'm not going to stand for this financial despair anymore. I'm not going to stand for this financial despair anymore. You're the one that went to the slot machine and wasted all your money on gambling. What are you talking about? You're not going to stand for what? These people are the ones keep voting these people in. I'm going to vote for Brandon Johnson, and I just ain't going to stand for this. No, what you are going to stand for it more. You went from Lori Lightfoot to Brandon Johnson. What are you talking about? What are these people talking about? And no one is to blame. No one is to blame. Now understand, the monolith. You're a coon if you vote for anybody other than the popular Democrat candidate, right? Because if you vote for another Democrat candidate, don't nobody even know who that Democrat candidate is, even if it's somebody that support reparations that everybody claim that they want, right? You got to vote for the popular Democrat, the popular candidate, right? But if you don't vote, or if you vote for somebody else, or if you vote issues, the monolith will say that you a coon. The monolith never blames the monolith for the deplorable conditions that their voting brings forth. It's always somebody else's fault. I brought this untrained pit bull here and it bit me. Why is there a pet store on the corner? They shouldn't sell them doggone dogs. You sound crazy. You sound crazy. Nobody told you to buy the pit bull. How difficult is that?
Values that I hold dear, and some of the values that the conservative Republican Party holds so dear. And so for a lot of people, it's not about the person, it's about the policies that we're fed up with. And as a result, I think this is going to be the largest amount of people who have voted for a Republican president in Chicago that we've seen.
I also spoke to one Venezuelan man who was so scared of being identified that he put a hoodie on and refused to face the camera. He told me in Spanish that he had to flee the building where he was being housed because a Venezuelan criminal gang took it over. He said if they knew he was talking, they'd end his family's life back in Venezuela with one bullet. You know, what struck me the most about our week in Chicago was how intelligent and self-aware these gang members and ex-gang members are about.
So, you know, they're very mind-boggled at the fact that these black people have functional brains. I mean, I don't understand why they don't think that the gang members would be, you know what I'm saying, self-aware and you know what I'm saying, have a functional brain. It struck me as fascinating that these black people could count to 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, glad they overachieved, right? like y'all can't make this up. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, man, y'all about to vote for Harris 85% of Chicago. Bro, facts. That's exactly what they about to do. It's exactly what they about to do. And then everybody gonna be making excuses. It's gonna be a whole year of content and gaslighting of other content creators on YouTube reaching for the stars to try to figure out what the problems are. I don't understand what's happening, what's going on. It don't make any sense. I don't understand.
Their community. You understand when you talk to them that joining a gang and making big money selling drugs is often too tempting to resist when faced with the lack of other real opportunities to make money. And for
if it's so tempting, if it's too tempting to exist, then why is it that the majority of people, even the majority of people in those neighborhoods, don't do what they do? Most people don't do what those people do. Most people, even people within those communities.
For a place known mostly in news stories for being bloody and violent at night, the area is like a
Well, you contributed to that, right? New York Post is one of the contributors to that stigma of Chicago, despite the fact that Chicago is not in the top 10 most dangerous cities in the United States, right? So you could pat yourself on the back a little bit for that.
village during the daytime. Everyone knows each other, and believe it or not, there's a friendly vibe. But we spoke to a lot of people, and their patience is being stretched thin. I would not be surprised to see the gangs here taking action once the Venezuelans try to get a real foothold here.
I mean, it seems to me if they, you know what I'm saying, if they're taking over buildings, it seems like they kind of already got a foothold. They might actually have a little bit more than a foothold. I mean, I don't know what you call that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you call that. I don't know what anybody calls that. I highly doubt that anybody will even say anything about it, because you know what I'm saying, the monolith, you know what I'm saying, the monolith ain't gonna say anything about this. The only thing that the monolith is gonna say is, you know what I'm saying, vote blue no matter who. Right? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. The only thing that I know to say is what I've said in my content that I've made. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. We'll see though, right? Like we'll see how this goes. Now, y'all can let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Let me know how what I see, right? If I was them gang members in Chicago, all the tough talk, you know what I'm saying? All the tough talk that them cats is doing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AW1. All that slick stuff that they saying, all that, you know, rap album, you know what I'm saying? Intermission talk. If I was them, I would go take a look at California. And I would take a picture of California. And I would write down a countdown. Because it's just a matter of time before Chicago becomes Californiaized. You know what I'm saying? But that's just what I think. Let me know what y'all think. And then if we're still around, we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the stream sponsor, man. Make sure y'all show my man DC Precise some love for joining a membership. Definitely appreciate it. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for DC Precise for funding the organization. Definitely appreciate it.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
And shout out to everybody that came through. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you're not subscribed to Undocumented, make sure you guys take a moment. Subscribe to Undocumented. All right. Check out some of the new membership emoji that we got. All right. Shout out to everybody who came through. We'll be live again, hopefully tomorrow. When we go live tomorrow, it'll probably be around 10 or 11 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? I haven't put the premiere window up yet, but it will be. So just make sure that you are paying attention around 10 or 11 o'clock, because we're going to finish up this topic right here. Same thumbnail. We ain't doing too much. Same thumbnail on BLR1 with the Eric Adams stuff too. We ain't doing all that extra stuff. I need to save the memory on my phone. You know what I'm saying? I need to save the memory on my computer, and I ain't really about to be making all them thumbnails all like that. You know what I'm saying? And some people talk about a lot of stuff on YouTube, but what we talk about over here is undocumented. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,